Poker Face. Chapter 5. Nerd Eyes Streak Virus.
Alright, boys and girls, ante up.
Here's mine.
What should I do first? Deal or ante up? Put your money in first. Okay then. 1, 2, 3.
Alright, goodbye, honey. Don't worry. You'll be home soon with your friends.
Not if I can help it, Goober.
Don't listen to him, honey.
Who's got the hookah?
Here you go, geek.
Oh, thanks a lot.
Y'all hear about that thing down in the ghetto, man?
Well, there's a lot of ghetto around here. What are you talking about?
That thing over there by the chicken box.
Oh, you mean the one over there on Big Beaver on Dix?
25. No, man. The real ghetto, man.
Now let's shuffle cards. Oh, you must mean over there at Michigan Avenue, Rosie Parkway.
No, man. Way past that, man. I mean in the real ghetto, man.
You don't mean that one over there on Hooker Boulevard by Herpes Concert Theater?
That's right, man.
I used to go over there every Sunday morning to watch all the winos beg for money.
Did you give them any, Uncle Shady?
Well, sort of, Leroy.
What does that mean?
Well, there was this one wino that put his hands on me, so I gave him a fat lip.
Well, there's some of them, what they call them sex robot things, and they caught some kind of a virus over there, man.
I heard that started over there at Landing Strippers months ago.
That place is kind of dirty.
So are the chicks.
I hope I don't catch it.
Can't get it if you ain't getting it, Leroy. Think I'm gonna pass.
I think I'll check.
I'll raise 50 cents.
I'll see that. Hell, I'm in too. Oh, I don't know what I should do.
Well, do you have a pair or something?
Yes, I have a pair of underwear. I'm wearing them as we speak.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, man, are you betting or you passing, man?
Well, how much do I have to bet? Well, the geek raised 50 cents.
Oh, okay, let me count some more. 1.
Well, while he's counting, I'll save you all the trouble of taking my monies. I fold.
10, yeah, me too. 11, I just can't get lucky, Uncle Shady.
13, well, Leroy, it happens to the best of us. And trust me, you ain't the best.
Anyone want some of this hookah?
I guess I could use some cotton mouth.
Yo, man, that's one of them symptoms of that virus.
Yeah, so stain in your drawers. And trust me, mine are clean. I changed them last week. I mean, last night.
Those viruses can be deadly.
That reminds me of Agnes Itchyballs.
Who's that, Uncle Shady?
Oh, she's the chick that gave the whole swimming team the clap.
Oh, did they win or something?
Not that kind of clap.
Well, let's hope it doesn't spread.
Well, it might be a little too late for that. They had to quarantine the whole neighborhood.
Yeah, I heard a bunch of people were losing their schmeckles.
From a virus, Uncle Shady?
Apparently their AI goes haywire during a BJ.
Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, now you got a deal again.
Oh boy, there's a lot to do.
Only for you, Penny Brain.
I'll take 3.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. I'll take 1. There is your 1.
He's got it straight, folks.
Not necessarily.
That's what she said.
And what about you? Yo, man, hit me up with 3.
That reminds me of Triple D Mary back in high school.
She's the one who played with the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd string football team.
Oh, interesting. What position did she play?
Oh, she was good at any position.
That's right, man. But I think her best position was doggy style, man.
All right, Geek, it's up to you.
What should I do? Oh, let me see here. Okay. I'll raise 50 cents.
I'm out.
Well, let me see how much money's in the pot there, man. Let me see. There's about $350 there. What do I do here? I tell you know what? You know what, man? I'm gonna fold.
All right, it's up to you, Penny Pincher.
Let me. I'm going to fold.
Oh, I win again.
This ain't working out like I wanted to.
Oh, it is for me.
What'd you have, Geek?
Oh, that's for me to know and no one to find out.
He was bluffing.
I don't know why I'm not winning.
Well, because you brought pennies to a quarter game.
But nobody told me.
Or whatever.
To be continued.
The John LeBang Show has been known to make people laugh, sing, think, scream, throw things in rage, and generally lose their minds. Listener discretion is advised.
Worldwide and out to the greater
Greetings, earthlings, media moguls, Bible thumpers, infected humans, FBI agents, space invaders, and all carbon-based life forms. Welcome to the only hour that causes chronic brain cell rejuvenation, vastly ignored by the mainstream culture. You're entering the banger zone. No child-proof tinfoil hats required, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing today? Early in the morning here, if you're listening to us live, if you're picking it up on the podcast, welcome as well. We got a myriad of subjects we're going to talk about this hour. Mix it up a little bit. We'll get to some open lines here in a little bit. But, I thought I'd begin with some observations I had as a talk show host over the last few months, and I've been slowly talking about how we're going to be changing a few things up here, and I started analyzing the big talk show hosts because you want to at least follow in their footsteps to make money at this gig, right? Because you can do this all for free, and that's just grand. There's a lot of people that do this type of thing for free and are fine with that because they have regular jobs or whatever, and they don't aspire to be anything larger. They just do it as a hobby, something to fulfill. I don't want to call it a fantasy, but they're trying to do it just to give them something to do for whatever reason. We've been trying to turn this into a career, and we've had some ups and downs over the last, since we've started, actually. We had some real high peaks when we were getting all the radio stations on board, when we were syndicated by a whole lot of stations. And then we had some low periods, did less shows. We've gone through some transitions, and now we're about ready to do another. So I've been listening to the mainstream talk show hosts, and I've actually calculated how long they speak on the radio versus how long I do it. And most guys most big time guys do a 3-hour show. That's kind of the gig, 15 hours a week. The podcasters don't get that much in. But when you analyze those 15 hours, a guy like Rush Limbaugh only talks for an hour and 40 minutes. Michael Savage, who has like 2 hours now, he talks for just about 30 minutes an hour. Can you believe that? Maybe 34. So I was sitting back saying, man, it must be so much easier to do a show when you only have to fill 34 minutes of time an hour versus having to fill practically, especially with our show, we got about 14-minute segments. We do 4 of them. So we're talking about 56 minutes an hour. Almost double of what a guy like Michael Savage does. And I'm like, the rest of the time, it's about local IDs, local news, station information, and commercials. And many of the shows out there, they're running about 10-minute segments on the high end, and they break often. They don't start right on the top of the hour. I'm just talking to you as listeners because I think that, with some changes that are coming, I want a little bit more of that format. I could do a lot more. It's no wonder they can do so much because, one, they're paid for it, so their show prep, it's no big deal, right? They're getting paid for it in the long run. But they don't have to talk for very long per hour. And that's what it's just getting sponsors. And the only way to get sponsors, I've done pretty well. Let's be honest. Unlike some of my counterparts on my level of internet radio and podcasting, not many of them actually have sponsors. Some stations have sponsors, but individual shows, that's a tough thing to get. And it has taken me many years to get those sponsors, and I really have to cut them a pretty good deal. And we love our sponsors, but we need more to do what we want to do with this whole radio gig. But it must be an awesome gig to be able to just fill up 34 minutes or so of time per hour, get paid millions. Some of them do. Some, earn a regular wage like anybody else. But in my eyes, $15 an hour to do radio, it's still better than working at the local grocery store or paint store or wherever. We have some, now just to move away from that, change subjects, I think we're going to jump around a lot this hour. I wanted to bring up some fake news that has come up. Can you believe it? Fake news has come up. CNET this time. Here's what they were saying. Mysterious looping signal could be aliens. That's their headline. But of course, we've covered this subject for 3 weeks now. And they were good enough to skip past their headline as you got into the body of the information of their article, and they get around to saying this. Scientists can't be sure where most of them are coming, the radio signals, or what might be sending them. It's probably not aliens sending out the signal. So CNET knows that's the truth. It's probably not aliens. Yet they, once again, the third, now in 3 weeks, pull out mysterious looping signal, could be aliens, as their headline. So they're using a fake headline to get viewers into the show. That's why I stopped doing headlines for each show. I used to put a little headline for each show we did. And I don't want people coming because it's clickbait. I want you coming because you like coming. But this is now the third separate news entity to publish a false headline only to correct themselves. Some people, back in the old days, we would call it retracting, but they correct themselves inside the story. And Drudge, God bless his heart, bless his little heart, has become a tabloid website. That's it. He shared every single one of these articles, and all of them say the same thing about the same signal. Now remember, folks, there's a saying. You repeat a lie long enough, and it will become the truth. Or that's a variation of the saying. Maybe that's a banger variation of the saying. But the idea that you have Drudge himself publishing the same news article from 3 separate news agencies, if you can call them that, all promoting the same fake news story by their own accounts, because inside the body of their article, they tell you it's not aliens sending it, or they don't believe it's aliens sending it. It's probably something natural. And it baffles the imagination that we can pick up a radio signal from 500, 600 billion miles or a million miles away, wherever these distant, far-off planets are. But the John Lebang Show radio signal is barely detected from a local internet radio station. I can't figure that out. Maybe you can, though, because we have some phone calls coming in on the show. So let's get to them real quick. Shady, you're first up.
Oh, we can hear you, John. Just ain't no one want to listen to your big mouth jibber jabber for 60 minutes.
Can't be that bad listening for 60 minutes, Shady.
Listen here. People have better things to do.
Like what?
I don't know. Maybe take selfies of themselves in the toilet for one.
You've got a point. Thanks for your call. Our next call comes in from the Donald in Washington, D.C. What say you, sir?
John, can you believe what Bloomberg said on those videos, John?
Yeah, we'll get to that a little later, sir. We're not on that topic right now.
It's crazy. Hang on, I got a tweet about it now.
Tweet.
Hey everyone, Big D here. Bloomberg hates everyone. Hashtag, and you thought I was bad.
Okay, sir. Well, thanks for your call. Our next call, back out to Washington, D.C., comes in from Ditzy. What say you?
Hi, John. Your latest picture on Facebook has all the girls talking, John.
It was kind of cute, the girls fighting over me, but it's no big deal.
Oh, whatever, John.
Thanks, Ditzy, for your call. Peppa, you're up next in Chicago.
Aw, Dems, I got to call you back later. Them damn children's driving me crazy.
All right, Pepper, thanks for your call. Gonzo is up next. What say you?
I'm picking up your signal, and Lord knows, I wish I didn't.
All right, sir. Well, keep tuning in, hopefully. Thanks for your call. Our next call comes in from Bernie. Let's hear what he has to say.
Bloomberg's trying to buy the nomination, and I won't stand for it.
Well, we're trying to help you, Bernie, with Operation Geezer, so don't worry, we're behind you. Thanks for your call, Bernie. Our next call comes in from Gooberfish. What say you?
Yo, man. Those aliens are all over, man. I saw one down at the paint store the other day.
At the paint store?
That's right, man. He was eating one of them taco things from that ugly creature chick over there. I think she calls herself Mistress Senorita.
Sir, I'm confused.
Well.
Thanks for your call. Our next call comes in from Florida. Cora, what say you?
Normally I say you suck, but tonight you really suck.
Thanks, Cora, for your call. We have one more call coming in from Chicago. Peppa.
Let me tell you something, honey. Baby daddy number 5th. I forgot how many kids I got now. Anyways, he says he come from your anus.
Your anus?
That's right, honey. That way there ain't no more baby daddies. Cause I had too much children.
But don't you get a tax credit?
Honey, you can't pay me enough to have any more child. They driving me crazy. Got so many now, I forget whose baby daddy is who.
Thanks for your call, Peppa. Our next call comes in from California. Looks like it's Los Angeles. Biff, what say you?
Dude, I rode the wave, man. It was huge, man. It was huge. She was big.
All right, thanks for your call.
For sure, man.
And our last call, we head over to Boris. What say you, sir?
Hello, lots time caller. I call lots, all the time. Got nothing better to do. I don't have much job here.
But they say it's a booming economy. You should be able to get a job anywhere.
Not if you're Russian. Other people think I want to probe them all the time. But I don't like to probe. Never. That's for those aliens people. Speaking of probe, did you hear about that girl who would sleep with a big long snake? It was a big long snake, 6 foot long.
No, that sounds creepy.
For like months and months, did not want to eat. You know what the vet said?
No, what'd he say?
Don't be chauvinist. It was she. She said snake was not eating because it was trying to make room to eat the girl.
The girl that was sleeping with the snake.
Well, that's what snakes do. They eat you.
But it was her pet, right?
Of course it was pet. But they're snake. You can't trust snakes.
Okay, Boris, thanks for the information and your call. It's time for a quick timeout, folks. More on the flip side as we're going to get into coronavirus, some political news, maybe some other news, all kinds of stuff waiting for you. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hey, Uncle Shady, where are they going? Hey, you, get back here. The John Lebang Show will be right back.
Are you in need of commercial or residential window cleaning? Do you need your office cleaned? Maybe custodial work? How about some gutter cleaning? If you do, then call Pane in the Glass. For a beautiful shine that's crystal clear, call Pane and the Glass. You can find them on Facebook at Pane and the Glass. You're listening to the John Lebang Show.
It's better than an eye convention.
Well, folks, you really have to love when the mainstream malpractice media starts coming around to what you were talking about just a few weeks earlier. This, ladies and gentlemen, was in a mainstream news article. Did coronavirus originate in China's government laboratory? Do you remember somebody talking about that when this all began? Man. Anyways, from the story, scientists believe killer disease may have begun in research facility 300 yards from Wuhan's wet fish market. Oh, can you believe that? Right near a fish market. That's great plotting of your city, China, if that's the case. You put a laboratory that has infectious diseases right next to a fish market, a wet fish market. Can't have dry fish. So apparently the Beijing-sponsored South China University of Technology concludes that the killer virus probably originated from a laboratory in Wuhan. It points to research on bats and respiratory disease carried by the animals at the Wuhan Center of Disease Control at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Remember, we talked about that weeks ago. Now, finally, the mainstream malpractice media is catching up. It's amazing. Yet they get all the credibility. They're the ones picked up 600 billion miles away because they got the powerful radio signals. WCDC is just 300 yards from the seafood market and just adjacent to the hospital. That's convenient. If you want to spread a plague, you have a research facility there that has these contaminants, these viruses, and somehow accidentally on purpose or something, they get out and it starts infecting people, making them sick. Then you got to quarantine nearly half the country now. Can you imagine? They've got over 1 billion people, well over 1 billion people in China. And as of right now, half the country is either under quarantine or some kind of protective measures. And other communities, a little closer to that epicenter, they're dealing with one family member can only leave the house every 3 days or so to just go get some food. That's it. All those billions of people, and they've got them off the streets. How quiet it must be in China right now, if you think about it. I mean, what does the government have to do if everybody's stuck in their home? And you got everybody stuck. You rounded up a bunch of people, too, who you claim were sick, and we don't know what happened to them. Now, let's go a little further into this article, because there's a lot here to digest. Chinese scientists believe the deadly coronavirus may have started life in the research facility just 300 yards. So it's a man-made biological virus. Some would say that's a weapon. Because why would you create a virus unless you intended to use it? It's not like you had to find out what a natural virus was like and create some kind of vaccine for it. No. Right here, finally, hitting mainstream public news, we hear that it's a man-made virus. Did you know that? How long did it take the malpractice media to catch up to people like, I don't know, this guy named Lebang, who's telling you weeks ago? And I don't want to take all the credit for saying this. There were many people on the interwebs telling you this looked like some kind of bioweapon. And we're coming to find out It's a man-made virus. Huh. Man-made. Now, one has to conclude if you're making a virus for some reason that doesn't naturally exist, you're making it for one reason, for it to get out, to use it. Or because we can't gloss over the fact that governments will use things like this to just shut things down, especially communist countries. They have no moral center to let their people be free. So in a communist country, you're tired of doing something. And it's odd that they had just made a deal with the U.S. and now this happens. A trade deal that benefited the United States, and now this happens. But now South China University, this is bad when the Chinese themselves are admitting that it was a man-made virus that got out. Somehow got out in the fish market. They're blaming it on bats, okay? They're blaming it on the bat research. Maybe that's how they created it, through the bats. There's other speculations, ladies and gentlemen, out there that it might have came from some other country, which would make sense. You don't know what the truth is, though. Would China use this against their own population, maybe to, get rid of a few people? Because they do have a lot. It's shutting down their economy. Even Apple is starting to worry now. All the and giant conspiracy theorists would think, well, maybe this was the U.S. and Trump doing this, so more companies have to move back to the U.S. to build their stuff, their iPhones and whatever. There's a lot of angles you could come at when dealing with this coronavirus. But then we had Cambodia trying to be nice. Now they've got infected people in their country. We had U.S. This is amazing, but we have U.S. citizens who are on that cruise ship who didn't test positive, but after they left, they test positive, and they're still bringing them back to the U.S. Explain that one to me. It's almost like every government is going to take advantage of the situation. And what do I mean by that? Well, let's just take into consideration. You have people who supposedly didn't test positive, but they tested positive after they left the boat, and they continue to bring them to the U.S. And they're going to put them in quarantine. But as we have seen with China, the quarantine isn't working for whatever reason. If the quarantine's for real and if the virus is for real and they're not, this wasn't some other thing. But if it's a bioweapon or if it's man-made, why the heck are we bringing, and I feel sorry for the Americans that had tested positive after they tested negative, and now they're on their way here, or they're already here. This thing spreads. It just spreads. And what's worse is you can catch it twice or multiple times, which tells me that, or infers that it is a biological weapon on top of that. That was one of the big red flags that I had. You mean you can catch it twice and the second time's worse than the first? Most things you catch once and that's about it, right? People talk about the flu, catching the flu and colds and all that, but they're mutated versions of it, and that's how you catch it. No, this particular virus, according to sources, are saying that you can catch it a second time and it has an accumulative effect and it really works on you harder. So if you make it through the first time, you might not make it through the second time. It tends to build up in your system. And the spread now. The spread is crazy. Because if you look at a map, there's only landmass wise, maybe 40% of the planet that doesn't have at least one case. Australia's got a case. China's got cases. Russia shut down their border, said they're doing harsher measures to protect their people than our own government is. Canada has it. U.S. has it. Ireland, Sweden, France, Spain, Germany. How is this spreading so quickly? And who the heck, once this began, thought it was a good idea to bring people back? You know, you feel sorry for them, the people that caught it on the boat. But you quarantine them forever until it's gone. What do you want? You want to spread it around the world? That's what it feels like, right? And I know people have rights, but you don't have the right to infect the whole world. So it's getting to be a bit scary. And like I said, just in the last show, we are, in some ways, looking at the world as if it's in the end days. I mean, some of us are. Because what we got locusts running rampant. They're in China now. They've eaten entire crops in like 10 minutes, from what the reports have been telling us. It's pretty incredible. Swarms of locusts ravaging just areas. Now they're in China, moving. That's incredible that they can move so fast on top of it. But you're talking billions of these things. But there's articles now coming out. I mean, I don't want to say I'm prophetic because I don't believe I am. But I talk about something and then the rest of the world starts talking about it. Now we've got stories like this. 10 plagues that are hitting our planet simultaneously. Plagues. See, it's biblical. Plagues. And they talk about the locust and the coronavirus and some other little viruses out there and weather conditions. Okay, I get it. There's a lot of crap happening right now. But why is it that the mainstream media is now picking up on the end days thing? Talking about it. Trying to get people to believe that. Because if you tell a lie long enough, folks, a lot of people are going to believe it. We've got to take another timeout. Man, second segment already done. Zippity boo bye yay, done. On the other side of this, we'll have more conversation. We'll probably get into politics and some other things as the show progresses.
Don't move a muscle.
The John Lebang Show will be right back.
With lots of fun and excitement. Yes!
Jim's Tuxedo and Menswear is your one-stop shop for tuxedos and men's quality suits. We go the extra mile to make sure your tux or suit is the perfect fit. Our huge selection is second to none in the state.
Looking good.
Outstanding customer service.
And we're located on Dix Toledo in Southgate. Call today, 734-285-3253.
Jim's Tuxedo and Menswear is the place to be.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming to Jim's Tuxedos and Menswear.
You know I had to come to the best.
That's right.
Hey, man, it's at the bottom of the hour, man. Do you know where your kids are, man?
If you want to contact the John Lebang Show, feel free to send an email to jlebang@live.com. And if you're on Twitter, look him up at John Lebang. And don't forget to go to his Facebook page at The John Lebang Show. Banger. Now here's John.
In fact, there's actually more news about China, so we probably should cover it real quick, but the U.S. imposes new rules on state-owned Chinese media over propaganda concerns. The Trump administration said on Tuesday it would begin treating 5 major Chinese state-run media entities with U.S. operations the same as foreign embassies, requiring them to register their employees and U.S. properties with the State Department. Wonder what that's all about. To continue on some of the headlines that are being bantied about the coronavirus. Here's some. Virus. World closes doors to China. Little too late, but they're doing it. Russia bans citizens. Can't get in. Sorry. We're not letting you in. Beijing detains activists who accuse Xi of a cover-up. A lot of people are magically being arrested and disappeared over this whole thing. More headlines. Senior doctor dies as authorities round up patients. They're rounding up everybody, folks. Patients, non-patients, anybody associated. This thing, according to all accounts, is spreading like wildfire. They're rounding people up and I think terminating them. They have abundance of people. Unfortunately, I don't want to sound like I'm heartless here, but from their perspective, they have abundance of people. Get rid of the infected, anyone who might be infected. It's amazing. We're in. How about this top headline? Villager tried to Villager tied to post for refusing to wear a mask. Finally, on this, U.S. cases nearly double with no end in sight. And why wouldn't they continue to rise when we bring in people who are infected, knowing, at least I'm an idiot when it comes to pathogens and those kind of health concerns, right? I'm just a layman. And I knew, don't let anybody in. Why was it the banger knew not to let anybody in way back when, and it took weeks for the government to figure that one out? And now it looks like it's too late. Because it seems like once it's here, I don't want to cause a panic. But by all accounts, once it's there, it spreads. Nothing anybody can do about it. In some unrelated health news, Alabama bill would require men to get a vasectomy after 50 or having 3 children. Yeah, Democrats here. It was proposed by a Democrat. It's funny how you have control of your body and you can kill some future offspring of yours. That's okay for a Democrat. You can let grandma, as Bloomberg will get to him, you can let grandma just drug her up and let her die off. But man, when it comes to men's sexual health, nuh-uh, you're having too many kids or you're just too old to have kids, according to the government. I'm over 50. I can tell you right now, if that law was in place, I wouldn't do it. You can't make me do that. It's at our own cost, ladies and gentlemen, on top of it all. So you're going to require, why don't you require women to have hysterectomies? Or is that the next thing? You know, it's hands off your body unless the government says otherwise. Hands off your body, ladies and gentlemen. But if the government says, yeah, except for an exception, men over 50 and have 3 kids, you've got to have a government sanctioned, a government coerced surgery so that you can't have children. That's what I want. I've always wanted a vasectomy, folks. I've always wanted a doctor to have a knife in his hand, little scalpel there, and to go around and be cutting around my schmeckle. Now, I know many people do it, okay? That's your choice. If you want to give the doctor that authority to mess around with your schmeckle, okay, that's fine with me. Don't tell me to do it. All right, for one, I haven't had any kids. So am I exempt from that? I haven't had kids, and I'm over 50. So if I wanted to have a kid now, I should be able to have a kid, right? If I met some young lady who wanted to be with me and we wanted to make a baby together, would this bill prevent me from having a kid? I mean, it's ridiculous that a government official or multiple officials or even the government would even think about infringing on my reproductive rights. But it's okay if you're a guy, right? Your reproductive rights aren't your rights if you're a man. Does this flop over? So if a guy wants to make a girl have an abortion, can he do it now? In other political news, very interesting, probably isn't making the mainstream media. I wonder why. A delegation of Democrat senators, reportedly led by Senator Chris Murphy, Democrat, Connecticut, held a secret meeting with guess who? The Iranian foreign minister. Can you believe that? They held a secret meeting with Iran? Was John Kerry there? John Kerry was throwing a party, I bet. He was throwing a party. This foreign minister, well, he was recently declared a terrorist by U.S. officials. So why is it that the Democrats are meeting with a terrorist? That should make him an enemy, right? A terrorist. Also, being an Iranian should make him an enemy. And why are they having secret meetings with him? It's okay, I guess. If you're a Democrat, you can do anything you want, and there's no repercussions. We're seeing with McCabe, nothing. Hillary, nothing. Then we have Bloomberg. Then we have Bloomberg over here. He's talking about farmers and people. All these videos are surfacing about Bloomberg. You knew they would, right? People can't hide their past these days because it's all on video. You could do that years ago. You can't do it anymore. Somebody's got a video of one of your speeches from somewhere and it's posted online. I mean, maybe when we embarrass enough of these scumbags that they won't ever run and we can actually get good people just through these videos. Although we thought about that with the cops, but I don't think the cops have improved their behavior. I mean, it's hard to improve your behavior when you got a citizenry that's filled with criminals. So that's a catch-22 there. But Bloomberg making fun of farmers kind of pissed off the right-wing media. It's funny, though, the right-wing media will get upset over these sort of things. They feel the same way sometimes. They'll call people the same way, and it doesn't matter. It's it's always my side good, your side bad. My side good, your side bad. Don't bother me with anything different. I can do it, and you can't. That mentality is freaking great. So all these videos, which are pretty damaging, I mean, I've listened to them on many of these. I actually don't disagree with Mayor Bloomberg or Mike Bloomberg on all these issues that the right-wingers are now making a big deal about. If there's more crime in an area, you're going to have more cops there. That's what basically Bloomberg said. Now, of course, the right-wingers have to do what the left-wingers do when something is said by their political opponent, and they have to call them racist and everything else for doing that, when it's probably just the fact. You have more cops in the area, or you should. That's just me. That's not discrimination against race or anything. But if crime is higher in an area, you probably should have more cops there. And his portrayal of farmers, although it's not as easy as he said it was, and he kind of made fun of them for not being too smart. I didn't take it as an offensive, because not to say I'm a farmer, but I grow gardens, and you could say on some level I am a farmer. Real amateurish. But still, I didn't take what he said was offensive, because it really isn't that hard to learn how to grow things. What's hard is the greater marketing and all the research to get better crops. That stuff's harder than growing. But, it's not that hard to grow crops. People are blowing his words out of proportion, just like it happens on the malpractice media over there at CNN and MSNBC and all that. It just happens to be that way. Just malpractice all the way around. But we're running up against time here, so I'm just going to make this quick. Dems are changing the rules to have Bloomberg as part of the debate in Las Vegas. They changed the rules. And to me, he's trying to buy the presidency. From last count, he spent like $125 or plus million in ads already. He's got billions of dollars. He can do whatever he wants with his money. But it seems like not only is he trying to buy the Democrat Party, which the base is trying to elect Bernie Sanders, ladies and gentlemen. And we'll get to that in the next segment because we're up against a break real quick. But Bloomberg is trying to steal the election, and I'm betting money right now the Democrat Party, because they love money and they can be bought. They'll buy into Bloomberg, the elites of the party, over Bernie Sanders. And the people who want Sanders in is going to get ripped off again, just like they did in 2016. We'll be right back, folks, as we've got to take a quick time out.
Smoke 'em if you got 'em.
Because the John Lebang Show will be right back
after this.
That's guaranteed. Yes. Absolute Skin and Body Care, located in Livonia, Michigan. If you're in need of laser hair removal, skin care, laser tattoo removal, or laser hair regrowth, call Absolute Skin and Body Care. They're located at 37625 Ann Arbor Road, Suite 105 in Livonia, Michigan. Their phone number is 248-533-0448. Absolute Skin and Body Care. Give them a call. You're listening to the John Lebang Show. It's huge. Now I got to tweet about it. So a few weeks, or actually it was probably just a week ago, we instigated Operation Geezer. And that's where we're trying to help Bernie Sanders hold his nomination, become the presidential nominee for the Democrat Party. Not because we want Bernie Sanders to win. We don't. We don't like Bernie Sanders' platform by any means. We don't like socialism. We don't like communism. We don't like anything that he stands for. But when you have a corrupt party like the Democrats trying to rip him off when he clearly is the leader, the people of the party who have maybe taken over the party, fine. Maybe the party's gone way too left. It has. But still, Bernie is the clear leader in the pack. He's the one with the most support. He has the biggest crowds. And you watch if the Democrats don't try to steal it from him. And maybe that's why Bloomberg jumped in. And Bloomberg has more money than he can throw at anything. He probably uses $100 bills as TP when they're out of TP. And I think that the Democrats are going to steal the nomination from Bernie. And it's unfortunate because I would love to see a Bernie-Trump battle going into November. Once and for all, we would get rid of the idea of socialism. I think Trump would win. I mean, I've already stated on many occasions, there's no way Trump's not going to win. He's almost anointed as the next president. Not because I want him or I think he's great. It's just the Democrats have nothing the American people will completely get behind. Certain factions will, sure, but not the entire populace of the country. You've got flyover country there that you may have plenty of Democrats, but they're not lefty Democrats where they're totally socialized. And that's something I watched a recent article with Bernie. And again, I have to agree with him on what he said, not his beliefs. And I forgot which interview it was. He was doing an interview. I think it was on Fox, but whatever. It doesn't matter. It's what he said. He said that to some degree, the U.S. is a socialist country. I can't argue with him. Social Security, Obamacare, many other programs, all are socialist in nature. So you can't argue with him. Of course, I argue against those socialist programs and socialist behaviors that the government partakes in. But that doesn't mean they don't exist. They obviously do exist. And I take umbrage with them. But when somebody is right, somebody is right. And Bernie Sanders was right on that. To some degree, at this point in history, we're a socialist country. Not full-blown. That's why the word democracy gets bandied about. Because that's the stepping stone to socialism. Many people frown at that belief. But it's the truth. Karl Marx, all the most famous socialists and communists will tell you. Democracy is code word for socialism. So it's not me coming up with that belief or that idea. I'm going by their words. Then we have President Obama. Can't keep quiet. He's now trying to take credit for the economy. The economy floundered during Obama. As soon as Trump got elected, the stock market started rocketing. But that's all Obama's doing. Maybe he found a way to sabotage Hillary, and that's what he really means. But he can't say that. So he's got to talk it up like he did all the great economic work to get us here. When in fact, it was him who told us we're never going to reach those high economic standards again. He was telling us we'll never see those days again. Now I can say, as a matter of personal perception, I haven't seen the economic boom the rest of the country has. I don't know why exactly. I don't know why. I work hard. I tried to. I haven't seen it. But a lot of people seem to be happy. You get some recent polls, and I don't know how skewed these polls are, but they say 90% of the people or so, I don't know how many, some crazy number being touted, they're happy with their lives right now. If that's true, Trump's going to win in a landslide, folks. Because that's all you need. You've got Trump whose policies, whether you like them or you don't like them, it doesn't matter, but apparently they're allowing people to make some money right now, which makes them happy. Because money is the end-all, be-all, by the way. Doesn't matter right and wrong. Doesn't matter that Trump hasn't accomplished as much as some of us would like, or as much as some people say he has, but he hasn't been as bad as the haters have said it about him. He's somewhere in the middle there. He acts more like a Democrat from the late 60s, early 70s, yet that is not good enough for Democrats. He was a former Democrat that swapped over to be Republican. We recently had that with the impeachment. Yeah. So when we analyze all this, when we look at it all and we kind of bring it all in, Trump is the one who's somehow spurred on the economy. I don't know if it's his policies. I don't know what you can account it, place the success on. But still, it's happening during him. It started kicking up right after he was elected. So for whatever reason, he's producing on the economic front for the majority of people. Of course, on the other end, he's not producing in arrests or anything of draining the swamp of any significance that I can grab a hold of. Sure, he got rid of some people inside the White House that shouldn't have been there, moved along. But where are the arrests of the criminals that we were told we were going to get? And then we have Barr now threatening to quit because Trump won't stop tweeting about the Department of Justice. Well, there's been no arrests, Barr, so if you want to quit, go. I'd be happy. Get somebody in there to do something, is all I'm saying. But there are conflicting reports depending on the news media, because you get the CNNs and those types will say he might be quitting, and then you get the Fox News saying, no, that's not happening. Typical media bounce back and forth, propaganda on both sides. It's probably a little of both again. See, there's common ground if you read into these stories, and you can find out, well, okay, Barr's not happy. He might quit. I think Trump should fire him. Myself, he's been doing nothing substantial. Why is McCabe still free? McCabe's gone. Now he's exonerated almost. Yeah, he didn't mean to falsify documents. He didn't mean to lie to the FISA courts. Same with Comey. These are law-breaking events that these people are getting away scot-free. Not you and me, folks. No. We have to pay if we jaywalk, but not these people. So personally, I don't care if Barr quits. Goodbye, Bo. See you later, folks. Get the hell out. I don't care. Because I want somebody in there who's going to get the corruption out of the government. It's been exposed to such a level that it should be easy to have these people arrested, and it's not. So me sitting here going, okay, Barr might be threatening to quit. Get out. I don't like Trump's tweets either. I think he does way too many, and he doesn't even, he does some and then he's got to delete them because he got it wrong, or he forgot that he was, he did the same thing he's complaining about. So when you look at it, the whole thing, I know it's political posturing and whatever, but it doesn't bother me if Barr leaves. In fact, if he does, we got to get somebody who's a little bit more independent and who doesn't care about preserving the institutions that have been turned against us, the American people. Barr clearly wants to save the institutions. In the Durham report, whenever that's going to happen, if it's going to happen, I'm not holding out hope that it's going to convict anybody. Or at least put anybody who was part of the coup in harm's way. Now, with that being said, folks, we got to get on out of here. I want to thank you so much for tuning in once again to the John Lebang Show. Please go to our website, www.jlebang.com. Thank you to all of the affiliate stations that carry the show. We couldn't do it without you. And until the vibrations of my vocal cords reach your ears again, I'm John Lebang, signing off from the Banger Studios.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have liftoff.